9-year-old Jaden stood in front of his siblings with a serious expression that looked ridiculous on his round face. "Okay, team, I've called this emergency meeting because we have a big problem and I have a big solution." His brother Marcus rolled his eyes from his spot on the bottom bunk. "The last time you had a big solution, you flooded the bathroom trying to build a submarine." Their sister Zara didn't look up from her tablet where she was doing research. "And the time before that, you almost burned down the kitchen making invisible ink from onion juice." Jaden waved dismissively. "Those were practice runs. This time I have a real plan. We're going to break Dad out of prison." The bedroom went silent. Marcus fell off his bunk in shock. Zara's tablet clattered to the floor. "You want to do what?" Marcus scrambled to his feet with hay from his hamster's cage stuck to his pajamas. "Break Dad out of prison. That's not a solution, that's a crime. We'd go to jail too." "Do they have jail for kids? I don't want to go to kid jail." Jaden held up his hands. "Calm down, I've thought this through. Dad has been in there for 6 months for something he didn't do. Mom cries every night when she thinks we're asleep. And those stupid lawyers keep saying these things take time. But Christmas is in 2 weeks and I want my dad home." Zara picked up her tablet and started typing rapidly. "Jaden's emotional reasoning is flawed, but his frustration is valid. According to my research, wrongful conviction cases take an average of 7 years to overturn. By then we'll be 16. Marcus shuddered. "I can't wait 7 years. I'll have armpit hair by then. I can't learn to shave without Dad." Jaden pointed at his brother triumphantly. "Exactly. This is an emergency. Dad needs to teach us important man stuff, and he can't do that from prison." Their father, Daniel Thompson, had been arrested 8 months ago for a crime he absolutely did not commit. Someone had stolen a lot of money from the company where he worked as an accountant, and all the fake evidence pointed to him. The real thief had been very clever, planting documents on Dad's computer and making it look like he had been stealing for years. Dad had proclaimed his innocence from the very beginning, but the judge hadn't believed him and sentenced him to 5 years in prison. Mom had been fighting to prove his innocence ever since, working with lawyers and investigators, but so far nothing had worked. "Here's the thing," Jaden continued, pacing like a tiny general. "We're kids. Nobody suspects kids. We can go places adults can't go, and most importantly, we have something no adult has." He paused dramatically. "We have nothing to lose." Marcus raised his hand. We have a lot to lose, actually. Like our freedom, our toys, our allowance, Mom's trust, our hamster Gerald." Jaden cut him off. "Gerald is coming with us. He's the team mascot." Marcus looked horrified. "You're bringing my hamster on a prison break." Zara had been researching the whole time, and now she looked up with an expression that meant she had found something interesting. "The prison where Dad is being held is Greenview Correctional Facility. It's minimum security because his crime was non-violent. That means less guards, easier access, and visiting hours every Saturday." Jaden grinned. "See? Zara's already on board." Zara shook her head. "I'm not on board. I'm just providing information. This plan is statistically likely to fail and result in severe consequences for all of us." But she didn't stop researching, which everyone knew meant she was at least thinking about it. Their mother, Sarah Thompson, was the hardest working person any of them knew. Since Dad's arrest, she had taken on 2 extra jobs to pay for the lawyers and keep the family afloat. She left before the kids woke up and came home after they were supposed to be in bed. Auntie Grace came over every day to watch them, but she was 73 years old and fell asleep in front of the TV by 7 o'clock, which gave the triplets plenty of time for planning. "Mum would kill us if she knew what we were thinking," Marcus said quietly. "She's already so stressed, if we get caught." Jaden's expression softened. "If we get caught, at least Dad won't be alone in prison. He'll have company." Zara snorted. "That's the worst comfort I've ever heard." But she was smiling slightly. "Okay, hypothetically speaking, if we were going to attempt this ridiculous and legally questionable endeavor, we would need several things: a detailed map of the facility, a plan for getting inside, a disguise strategy, an escape route, and most importantly, a way to communicate with Dad without anyone knowing." Jaden rubbed his hands together. "Now we're talking. What's first?" The next week was spent in intense preparation. Zara hacked into the public records database to find blueprints of the prison, which turned out to be surprisingly easy because government websites had terrible security. Marcus was put in charge of supplies, using his allowance to buy walkie-talkies, flashlights, and an excessive amount of snacks for energy. Jaden worked on the plan itself, drawing elaborate diagrams on poster board and giving everything code names. The prison was the castle, Dad was the king, the guards were the dragons, and they were the three musketeers. Why can't I be called something cool like Shadow or Nightwolf? Marcus complained during one planning session. Jaden shook his head firmly. Code names have to be from a system. If we start making up random names, we'll forget who's who in the heat of the moment. Zara added without looking up from her tablet. Besides, you're scared of shadows, and you cried during that werewolf movie. Musketeer is more accurate. Marcus sputtered with indignation. I did not cry. I had something in my eye, for 2 hours. The biggest challenge was figuring out how to get into the prison without raising suspicion. Regular visiting hours required adult supervision, and they couldn't exactly ask Auntie Grace to drive them to break their father out of jail. We need a cover story, Jaden said, staring at his diagram. Something that explains why 3 kids are wandering around a prison. Marcus suggested, school project. Zara shook her head. Too easy to verify, they'd call the school. Marcus tried again. Lost tourists, Jaden groaned. We live 20 minutes away. We're not tourists. Marcus threw his hands up. I don't know. Community service? Selling cookies? Tiny prison inspectors? Zara suddenly sat up straight. Wait, go back. What did you say? Marcus looked confused. Tiny prison inspectors? That was a joke. Zara was typing furiously. Not that. Before that, Cookies the prison has a Christmas program where local organizations bring holiday treats for the inmates. It's supposed to boost morale. She turned her tablet around to show a flyer. See? Greenview Correctional Annual Christmas Cookie Drive. All donations welcome. Jaden's face lit up. We bring cookies as a donation. We get inside. We find Dad. We break him out. Marcus looked skeptical. That's a lot of steps between bring cookies and break him out. The plan evolved over the next several days. Zara discovered that the Christmas cookie delivery was happening on December 23rd, the Saturday before Christmas. Volunteers from local churches and community groups would be bringing treats, and security would be focused on checking the food rather than watching the visitors closely. It's perfect, Jaden declared. We dress up like we're part of a church group. We bring cookies, we get inside, we find Dad in the visitor area, and then… He paused. Zara, what happens then? Zara pulled up her carefully prepared presentation. The visitor area is connected to the main building by a hallway that passes the maintenance area. Maintenance has an external door used for deliveries. That door is our exit point. She showed them a blueprint. We need to get Dad from the visitor area to the maintenance hallway without being seen. There's a 12-minute window during shift change when guard coverage is minimal. Marcus was taking frantic notes. 12 minutes to move a grown man through a prison. What could possibly go wrong? His sarcasm was heavy, but he was still writing everything down. The night before the mission, none of them could sleep. They lay in their bunks, staring at the ceiling, while Gerald the hamster ran on, his wheel with annoying enthusiasm. Are we really doing this? Marcus whispered into the darkness. We're really going to break our dad out of prison. Jaden's voice was firm. We're really doing this. Dad doesn't belong there. He didn't steal anything, and nobody else is going to save him, so we have to. Zara added quietly. Statistically speaking, we have a 17% chance of success, but 17% is better than 0%. Marcus groaned. You're supposed to make me feel better, not tell me we're 83% likely to fail. In the morning, they executed the first phase of the plan. While Auntie Grace dozed in front of her morning talk shows, the triplets snuck into the kitchen and prepared 3 dozen chocolate chip cookies that looked homemade but were actually from store-bought dough. They packed them in nice containers, dressed in their Sunday best clothes, and prepared 3 backpacks with their supplies. Jaden had his diagrams and leadership badge. A bottle cap he had painted gold. Marcus had snacks, walkie-talkies, and Gerald in a small carrier. Zara had her tablet, a first aid kit, and a printed copy of their entire plan with 17 backup contingencies. "Wait," Marcus said suddenly. "We can't just leave. Mom will freak out when she comes home and we're gone, and Auntie Grace will wake up eventually." Jaden pulled out an envelope. "Already handled. I wrote a letter explaining everything. We'll leave it on the kitchen table." Zara looked alarmed. "You wrote down our criminal conspiracy? In writing, with evidence?" Jaden shrugged. "Mum deserves to know what we're doing. It's only fair." Marcus grabbed the letter and read it aloud. "Dear Mum, we have gone to break Dad out of prison because we love him, and Christmas isn't Christmas without him. Don't worry, we have a plan, and Zara did math. We took Cookies and Gerald. Love, Jaden, Marcus, and Zara. P.S. Please don't be mad. P.P.S. If we go to kid jail, please visit us." Marcus stared at his brother. "This is the worst goodbye letter in the history of goodbye letters." Jaden snatched it back. "It's not a goodbye letter. It's an explanation letter. There's a difference." Zara was already heading for the door. "We can argue about letter quality later. The bus to Greenview leaves in 30 minutes, and if we miss it, the whole plan falls apart." The boys grabbed their bags and followed her out the door, leaving the letter propped against the fruit bowl where Mom would definitely see it. The bus ride to Greenview took 45 minutes and felt like approximately 17 years. Marcus held Gerald's carrier on his lap and whispered reassurances to the hamster while other passengers gave him strange looks. Zara reviewed their plan on her tablet, making last-minute adjustments and muttering about variable factors and risk assessment. Jaden sat with his arms crossed, trying to look like a serious leader and not a terrified 9-year-old about to attempt something monumentally stupid. "What if Dad doesn't want to come with us?" Marcus asked suddenly. "What if he says we should go home and let the lawyers handle it?" Jaden hadn't considered this possibility. "He'll want to come. He misses us. Remember how he cried last time we visited?" Zara nodded. "Dad definitely misses us, but he's also a responsible adult who might not want his children to become criminals on his behalf." Marcus whimpered. "We're going to become criminals. Oh God, we're going to be criminals. I can never run for president now." The bus stopped at the end of a long road with a large grey building visible in the distance. "Greenview Correctional Facility," the bus driver announced. "Anybody here for the cookie delivery?" The triplets stood up with their containers and tried to look like they belonged to any of the adult groups also getting off the bus. An older woman with a church choir smiled at them. "Oh, how sweet. Are you three here with your parents?" Jaden answered smoothly. "Our mum is meeting us inside. She's already there setting up." The woman nodded and moved on, and the triplets exchanged relieved glances. The prison loomed before them, grey and imposing, and very, very real. For a moment, all three of them froze on the sidewalk, theatricality of what they were about to do finally hitting them. "We can still turn back," Zara said quietly. "We can go home. Pretend this never happened. Wait for the lawyers." Jaden shook his head slowly. "No, we've come too far. Dad is in there, and we're going to bring him home." He looked at his siblings with determination that seemed too big for his small body. "Are you with me?" Marcus took a deep breath and nodded. "I'm with you, but if we go to kid jail, you're explaining to Mum, not me." Zara closed her tablet and squared her shoulders. "I'm with you, but I want it on record that this is statistically likely to fail." Jaden grinned. "Noted. Now let's go break our dad out of prison." The security checkpoint at Greenview Correctional Facility was much less scary than the triplets had expected. The guards were more interested in the cookies than the children, opening containers and poking through baked goods while barely glancing at the small visitors. "These for the Christmas drive?" a bored guard asked. Jaden nodded with what he hoped was an innocent smile. "Yes, sir. Our church made them. Chocolate chip is God's favorite flavor." The guard snorted with amusement and waved them through. "Head to the visitor center. They're setting up in there." Marcus was sweating so much his glasses kept fogging up. "I can't believe that worked. I can't believe we're inside. We're inside a prison. This is the craziest thing we've ever done." Zara shushed him urgently. "Keep your voice down. We're not here to announce our intentions to everyone." Jaden led them confidently through the corridor, following the signs to the visitor center while mentally comparing the layout to his memorized blueprints. "Okay, the visitor center is straight ahead. Dad should be brought there for the Christmas event." We find him, we explain the plan, we wait for shift change, we move. The visitor center was a large room filled with plastic tables and folding chairs, currently being decorated with sad-looking tinsel and a Christmas tree that leaned heavily to one side. Various church groups and community volunteers were setting up cookie displays, while inmates in orange jumpsuits sat at designated tables waiting for visitors. The triplets scanned the room desperately for their father. There, Zara grabbed Jaden's arm and pointed, "Table 7, by the window." And there he was, Daniel Thompson, looking thinner than they remembered and with more grey in his hair than 6 months ago, but unmistakably their dad. He was staring out the window with a sad expression that broke all three of their hearts simultaneously. "Daddy!" Marcus forgot all about stealth and ran across the room at full speed, launching himself at their father so hard the chair nearly tipped over. Daniel's face went through approximately 17 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, confusion, joy, more confusion, concern, and finally panic as he realized his 3 children were in a prison without any visible adult supervision. "Marcus, Jaden, Zara, where's your mother? How did you get here? Who brought you?" His voice was rising with each question, and other inmates were starting to stare. Jaden quickly sat down across from him while Zara positioned herself to block them from the guard's view. "Dad, you need to calm down and listen. We don't have much time." Daniel was not calm. "I will not calm down. Your children, in a prison, without adults. Does your mother know you're here?" Marcus was still hugging him and crying into his orange jumpsuit. "We left her a letter. She'll find it when she gets home from work." Daniel's eyes went even wider. "A letter? You left a letter and came to prison?" Zara pulled out her tablet. "Dad, please lower your voice by approximately 40%. You're attracting attention. We have a plan and we need you to cooperate." Daniel took several deep breaths and managed to get his panic under control, though his eye was twitching in a way the children had never seen before. Okay, I'm calm. I'm listening. Please explain to me why my 9-year-old children are visiting me in prison alone on Christmas cookie day." Jaden leaned forward with intense seriousness. "We're here to break you out, Dad. We have a plan. We have blueprints. We have a 12-minute window during shift change, and we have Gerald for moral support." Marcus held up the hamster carrier proudly. "He's the team mascot." Daniel stared at them for a long moment, then put his head in his hands. "You're here to break me out of prison, my children. My 9-year-old triplet children are attempting a prison break. This is happening. This is my life now." He looked up with an expression caught between laughter and tears. "Kids, I love you more than anything in the world, but this is insane. You can't break me out of prison. It's illegal. You'll get in trouble. Your mother will kill us all." Jaden interrupted firmly. "Dad, you don't belong here. You didn't steal that money. Everybody knows you didn't steal that money, but the lawyers are too slow and Christmas is in 2 days and we want you home." His voice cracked on the last word. "We want you home, Dad. We want to open presents together and eat Mom's terrible turkey and listen to you tell the same Christmas stories you tell every year. We can't do another Christmas without you. We just can't." Daniel's face crumpled. "Jaden, buddy," Marcus added through his tears, "and you have to teach me to shave. You promised you'd teach me when I got armpit hair, and what if I get armpit hair while you're in here?" Zara concluded with her usual logic. "Additionally, Mum's mental and physical health has declined significantly since your incarceration. Her stress levels are unsustainable, and your return would provide substantial emotional and practical support for the family unit." She paused. "Really miss you, Dad." Daniel pulled all 3 children into a hug, not caring about the guards watching or the rules about physical contact. "I miss you too, so much. Every single day, I think about you and your mother and how much I want to be home." He pulled back and looked at them with love and frustration and admiration all mixed together. "But I can't let you do this. If you get caught helping me escape, you could face charges. You could go to juvenile detention. You could ruin your entire futures." "We don't care about our futures without you in them," Jaden burst out, too loud, making several heads turn. Zara quickly covered by pretending to cry. "Oh, Daddy, we just miss you so much," she wailed dramatically, and the guards looked away with uncomfortable expressions, clearly not wanting to deal with crying children. Under her breath, she hissed, "Shift change in 57 minutes. We need to start moving toward the maintenance corridor." Daniel shook his head. Kids, I'm not going to. A guard approached the table with a stern expression. Everything okay here? These your kids? Daniel nodded quickly. Yes, officer, they came with one of the church groups for the cookie drive. They just got a little emotional seeing their dad. The guard studied the three tear-streaked faces. Marcus's tears were real, Zara was faking brilliantly, and Jaden was just sweating, and seemed satisfied. Keep it down, visiting rules still apply even during special events. He walked away and Daniel exhaled with relief. See what I mean? Daniel whispered urgently. You almost got caught just now. You can't pull off a prison break, your children. Marcus sniffled. We're not just children, we're your children. We inherited your stubbornness. Jaden added, and Mom's determination. Zara concluded, and statistically speaking, our combination of skills gives us a better chance than most adult escape attempts. I did the research. Daniel looked at his children, really looked at them, and saw something he hadn't seen in months. Hope. These three crazy, brave, ridiculous kids had planned an actual prison break because they loved him and believed in his innocence when the whole world thought he was guilty. You really believe I didn't do it? Daniel asked quietly. Even after the trial, even after they showed all that evidence. All three children spoke at once. Of course we believe you. You would never steal anything. The evidence was clearly fabricated by someone with access to your work computer. That last one was Zara, naturally. Daniel felt tears threatening to fall. I don't know what I did to deserve kids like you. Jaden grinned despite the tension. You read us bedtime stories and never missed a soccer game and made really good pancakes. That's probably what you did. Meanwhile, back at the Thompson house, Sarah had come home early. The law firm she worked with had some exciting news about Daniel's case, and she couldn't wait to tell the kids. Jaden, Marcus, Zara, I'm home early. Where is everyone? Auntie Grace was snoring on the couch as usual, but the house was strangely quiet. Kids. Sarah checked their bedroom, the bathroom, the backyard, growing more confused and worried with each empty room. Finally, she returned to the kitchen and saw the envelope propped against the fruit bowl. She opened it with trembling hands and read, Dear Mom, we have gone to break Dad out of prison because we love him, and Christmas isn't Christmas without him. Don't worry, we have a plan, and Zara did math. We took cookies and Gerald. Love Jaden, Marcus and Zara. P.S. Please don't be mad. P.P.S. If we go to kid jail, please visit us. Sarah's scream woke up Auntie Grace, who sat up so fast she knocked over her tea. What? What happened? Is there a fire? Sarah was already grabbing her car keys, her phone pressed to her ear. My children have gone to break their father out of prison. I'm calling the lawyer. I'm calling the police. I'm calling everyone. She was out the door before Auntie Grace could even process what she had said. The old woman blinked at the empty room. Prison. Did she say prison? Oh dear, I really should stop falling asleep during the exciting parts. At Greenview Correctional, the triplets had entered Phase 2 of their plan. Bathroom break, Jaden announced loudly. Dad, can you show us where the bathroom is? Daniel, who had reluctantly agreed to at least walk with them to see the maintenance corridor, stood up carefully. Kids, I still don't think. Zara grabbed his hand and started pulling. The bathroom, Dad. We really need to go. It's an emergency. She winked so dramatically that Daniel was amazed no one else noticed. They left the visitor center as a group, Daniel walking between his children like they were escorting him rather than the other way around. The hallway stretched before them, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead and doors labeled with official-looking signs. Maintenance is down this hall and to the left, Zara whispered, checking her tablet. Shift change in 32 minutes. We need to find a place to hide until then. They ducked into a supply closet that smelled like bleach and old mops. It was cramped with 4 people and a hamster, but the door closed behind them and they could finally speak freely. This is crazy, Daniel muttered. I'm hiding in a supply closet with my children during a prison break. This is actually happening. I've lost my mind. Marcus was struggling to keep Gerald's carrier from falling. Dad, you haven't lost your mind. We have a plan. Jaden pulled out his wrinkled diagram. See? The maintenance corridor is right there. The external door is 12 meters from our current position. Once we're outside, we follow the fence line to the parking lot where—" He stopped. "Actually, how are we getting home? We took the bus here." Everyone stared at each other. "You didn't plan transportation?" Daniel asked incredulously. "You planned a whole prison break and forgot about how to leave afterward." Zara was rapidly scrolling through her tablet. "I may have assumed we would improvise that part." Marcus groaned. "We're going to be wandering around outside a prison with an escaped convict and a hamster. This is fine. This is totally fine. Nothing bad will happen." Daniel started laughing, the kind of slightly hysterical laughter that comes from too much stress and not enough sleep. "I love you kids so much. You're completely insane and this is never going to work. But I love you so much." He pulled them into another group hug in the cramped closet. "Even if we get caught, even if this all falls apart, I want you to know that this is the most loved I've ever felt in my entire life." Jaden hugged back fiercely. "We're not going to get caught, we're going to get you out and we're going to have Christmas together and everything is going to be fine." He said it with such conviction that for a moment even Daniel believed him. Then the supply closet door flew open and a guard stood there with a flashlight and a very suspicious expression. "What the hell is going on in here?" The guard's flashlight beam swept across 4 terrified faces and 1 confused hamster. "I'm going to ask again," the guard said slowly, his hand moving toward his radio. "What are you doing in this supply closet with an inmate?" Jaden's mind raced through every excuse he had prepared, but all of them seemed suddenly ridiculous. Marcus started crying, which was not helpful, but at least was genuine. Zara's tablet slipped from her frozen fingers and clattered to the floor, displaying their entire escape plan in full color. The guard looked at the tablet. Then he looked at the children. Then he looked at Daniel. Then he looked at the tablet again. Is that a blueprint of this facility?" His voice rose with each word. "With exit routes marked in red?" He grabbed his radio. "Control, this is Officer Patterson. I need backup at the maintenance corridor. We have a possible escape attempt in progress. 3 minors involved, 1 inmate, and—" He squinted at Gerald's carrier, some kind of rodent. "He's a hamster," Marcus sobbed. "His name is Gerald and he's innocent." Daniel stepped forward with his hands raised. "Officer, please, this isn't what it looks like." The guard took a step back. "Stay where you are, Thompson. I don't know what you convinced these kids to do, but—" Jaden interrupted loudly. "He didn't convince us of anything. This was our idea. Dad didn't even want to come." The guard blinked. "You're saying you planned a prison break and your father is the unwilling participant?" Zara nodded miserably. "It was supposed to be a surprise. We were going to break him out for Christmas." More guards arrived, filling the hallway with uniforms and walkie-talkie static. Daniel was pulled away from his children despite his protests. "Don't touch them. They're just kids." They didn't know what they were doing. Jaden was trying to fight the guard holding him, which was ineffective but showed spirit. "Let go of our dad. He's innocent. The real thief is still out there." Marcus had escalated from crying to full hyperventilation. Gerald was running panicked circles in his carrier. They were escorted to the warden's office, which was much nicer than the rest of the prison, but still felt like a place where bad things happened. Warden Mitchell was a large woman with grey hair and the kind of face that suggested she had seen everything and was no longer surprised by anything. But even she looked slightly stunned when 3 children, a hamster, and their handcuffed father were brought before her desk. "Let me see if I understand this correctly," Warden Mitchell said slowly, reading the incident report. "These 3 children, ages 9, used a fabricated church group affiliation to gain access to the facility, brought homemade cookies as a cover story, smuggled in communication devices and blueprints, hid with their incarcerated father in a supply closet, and were attempting to facilitate his escape through the maintenance exit during shift change." She looked up. "Is that accurate?" Jaden lifted his chin defiantly. "Yes, Mom, and we would have succeeded if that guard hadn't needed cleaning supplies at the exact wrong moment." Zara added helpfully, "Our timing was off by approximately 4 minutes. I should have accounted for irregular bathroom breaks among staff." Marcus just kept crying and clutching Gerald. Warden Mitchell turned to Daniel. "And you, Thompson, you're telling me you had no knowledge of this plan before today?" Daniel shook his head emphatically. I had no idea, Warden. I tried to talk them out of it the moment I understood what they were doing. They're children. They don't understand the consequences. Jaden interrupted again. We understand perfectly. Dad doesn't belong here. He didn't steal anything. Someone framed him and nobody believes us. The warden studied Jaden with an unreadable expression. You believe your father is innocent? All three children nodded vigorously. We know he's innocent, Zara said firmly. The evidence presented at trial was circumstantial, and the digital forensics were inadequate. I've been researching the case, and there are multiple inconsistencies that suggest the real perpetrator had insider access to our father's work computer. The warden raised an eyebrow. You researched the case? You're 9 years old. Zara shrugged. I'm advanced for my age. The office phone rang, and the warden answered it with obvious irritation. What is it? I'm dealing with something here. Her expression changed as she listened. What do you mean there's a woman demanding entry? What woman? She has W. Ho with her. She listened more, her frown deepening. Send them up. She hung up and looked at the assembled group with something that might have been amusement. Apparently, there's a woman at the front gate claiming to be the mother of 3 children who came here to break their father out of prison. She has a lawyer with her, and she's threatening to, and I quote, burn this place to the ground if anyone has harmed a single hair on her baby's heads. Marcus perked up slightly. That's Mom. She found our letter. Jaden looked less enthusiastic. She's going to kill us. Zara was already calculating. Actually, Mum's arrival might help our case. She can advocate for us and possibly prevent criminal charges against minors. The door burst open and Sarah Thompson stormed in like a hurricane of maternal fury. My babies! She rushed to the children, checking each one for injuries while simultaneously glaring at every adult in the room. Are you hurt? Did anyone touch you? I swear to God, if anyone laid a finger on my children. She whirled on Daniel. And you were supposed to be the responsible one. You let them attempt a prison break? Daniel held up his handcuffed hands helplessly. I didn't let them do anything. They ambushed me. I was minding my own business at the cookie event, and suddenly 3 small criminals showed up with blueprints and a hamster. Sarah's eyes went to Gerald's carrier and then back to her children with an expression of bewildered fury. You brought the hamster. You brought Gerald on a prison break. He's the team mascot, Marcus protested. Every mission needs a mascot. Behind Sarah, a tall man in an expensive suit entered the room with a folder of papers. This was Mr. Harrison, the lawyer who had been working on Daniel's case for months. His presence seemed to change the energy in the room, making even the warden sit up straighter. Warden Mitchell, thank you for your patience with this unusual situation. I'm Theodore Harrison, counsel for Daniel Thompson. The warden nodded warily. Mr. Harrison, I don't know what you think you're going to accomplish here, but these children committed multiple offenses and your client was found hiding in a closet with them. Mr. Harrison held up his hand. Before we discuss what happened today, I need to share something that makes this entire situation considerably more complex. He opened his folder and pulled out several documents. 3 hours ago, my investigator discovered evidence that proves Daniel Thompson's innocence. We have identified the actual perpetrator of the embezzlement and obtained a confession. The room went completely silent. Daniel's face went pale. Sarah gasped. The triplets grabbed each other's hands. Even Gerald stopped running in his wheel. I'm sorry, Warden Mitchell said slowly. Did you say you have proof of his innocence? Mr. Harrison nodded. The real thief was Daniel's supervisor, Robert Chen. He had been stealing from the company for years, and when auditors got close, he framed Daniel to take the fall. My investigator obtained digital evidence proving Chen accessed Daniel's computer remotely to plant the incriminating files, and Chen himself confessed this morning when confronted with the evidence. He handed the papers to the warden. I was on my way here to file an emergency motion for Daniel's release when Mrs. Thompson called me screaming about her children attempting a prison break, so I accelerated my timeline somewhat. Jaden's jaw dropped. Wait, Dad is actually innocent. Like, officially innocent. Mr. Harrison smiled. Officially innocent, the district attorney is already preparing to drop all charges. Your father could be released as early as this afternoon. Marcus started crying again, but these were happy tears. We did it. We broke Dad out of prison, Zara corrected him. Technically, we attempted to break Dad out of prison and failed. His actual release is due to proper legal channels. Jaden grinned. Same difference. The point is he's coming home. The warden looked between the legal documents, the celebrating children, and the shell-shocked parents with an expression that suggested she needed a vacation. So you're telling me that these children attempted an elaborate escape plan for an inmate who was about to be legally released anyway? Mr. Harrison nodded. That appears to be the situation, yes. The warden started laughing, a surprised, genuine laugh that made her whole stern face transform. In 30 years of corrections work, this is the strangest thing I've ever experienced. Daniel was staring at the documents like they might disappear. I'm innocent. I'm actually being released. This is real. This is actually happening. Sarah threw her arms around him, handcuffs and all. It's real, baby. It's real. You're coming home. The triplets piled onto both parents in a massive group hug that knocked everyone slightly off balance. Even the guards were smiling despite themselves. But then Jaden pulled back with worry on his face. Wait, what about us? We still committed crimes, right? Are we going to kid jail? The warden sighed and looked at the legal documents, then at the children, then at their overjoyed parents. Normally, yes, there would be serious consequences for what you attempted today. Unauthorized entry with false pretenses, conspiracy to facilitate an escape, possession of security blueprints. Marcus started crying again, scared tears this time. The warden held up her hand. However, given the extraordinary circumstances, specifically that your father's conviction is about to be overturned and you'll argue you were trying to free an innocent man, I'm inclined to be lenient. She fixed each triplet with a stern stare. You will each write a 10-page essay on why prison breaks are illegal and dangerous. You will complete 100 hours of community service, and you will never set foot in any correctional facility again unless it's to visit someone through proper channels. Understood? The triplets nodded frantically. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I will additionally provide statistical analysis of why our plan was inadvisable. That last one made the warden's lips twitch. And the hamster goes home with you. We are not equipped for rodent inmates. Marcus hugged Gerald's carrier protectively. He's not a rodent. He's a valued team member. Sarah reached over and gently smacked the back of his head. You're in enough trouble. Don't argue about hamster classification. The paperwork took 3 more hours. 3 hours of sitting in uncomfortable chairs while lawyers talked and documents were signed and officials made phone calls. The triplets fell asleep in a pile on a bench in the waiting room, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of their failed prison break turned successful family reunion. Marcus drooled on Jaden's shoulder. Zara mumbled statistics in her sleep. Gerald ran on his wheel with the dedication of an athlete training for the Olympics. Sarah sat beside Daniel, holding his hand like she was afraid he might disappear if she let go. I can't believe this is happening, she whispered. 6 months of fighting and hoping and crying myself to sleep. And now… Daniel squeezed her hand. Now we're going home, together for Christmas. He looked over at their sleeping children with overwhelming love. Those 3 crazy kids actually tried to break me out of prison. I'm going to be grounding them until they're 30, but I'm also incredibly proud. Sarah laughed through tears. They get their stubbornness from you. Daniel shook his head. They get their stubbornness from both of us, which is why they're unstoppable. He kissed his wife's forehead. Thank you for never giving up on me, for fighting for the truth, for hiring Mr. Harrison, for believing in me when everyone else thought I was guilty. Sarah cupped his face in her hands. I married you, Daniel. I know who you are. I never doubted you for a second. Mr. Harrison approached with a smile and a final document. It's done, Daniel. All charges have been officially dropped. The district attorney has issued a public statement acknowledging prosecutorial errors, and Robert Chen is now in custody, facing multiple felony charges. He handed Daniel a paper. This is your release authorization. You're a free man. Daniel took the paper with trembling hands and stared at it like it was the most precious thing in the world. Free. I'm actually free. The triplets woke up when Daniel crouched beside them and gently shook their shoulders. Hey, troublemakers, time to go home. Jaden sat up so fast he headbutted Marcus. Ow! What the dad? You're not handcuffed anymore. Marcus rubbed his forehead and squinted through his smudged glasses. We're going home. Really, truly going home? Zara checked her tablet for the time. We've been here for 7 hours and 32 minutes. That's significantly longer than our original escape timeline would have required. Daniel laughed. Well, next time, maybe let the lawyers handle things instead of staging a prison break. They walked out of Greenview Correctional Facility together, all 5 of them plus Gerald. The December sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that made even the ugly prison building look almost beautiful. Daniel stopped at the gate and turned back to look at the place that had been his home for 6 months. Goodbye, Greenview. I hope I never see you again. Marcus tugged his hand. You won't see it again because we're never letting you out of our sight ever again. Jaden nodded vigorously. We're going to follow you everywhere, to work, to the bathroom, everywhere. Zara added, I'm developing a GPS tracking system so we always know your location. Sarah raised her hands. Okay, let's not become a stalking family. How about we just go home and enjoy being together without any surveillance technology? She led them to the parking lot where her car waited, still running, because she had been too panicked to turn it off when she arrived. Everyone in, we have a lot of Christmas to catch up on. The drive home was chaotic and wonderful. The triplets all talked at once, telling Daniel every detail of their plan from the initial idea to the cookie cover story to Gerald's role as team mascot. And then the guard opened the closet door and I thought we were doomed, Marcus dramatized. But Zara dropped her tablet with our whole plan on it. Zara defended herself. The humidity in that closet was affecting my grip. It was an environmental factor beyond my control. Jaden concluded triumphantly, but it didn't matter because Dad was innocent all along, and now we're all going home together. And that's what counts. Daniel twisted in his seat to look at his children. This view from the passenger side, a luxury he had missed for 6 months. I have a question for you criminal masterminds. Whose idea was it originally? All 3 pointed at each other simultaneously. His. Hers. His. Daniel laughed. That's what I thought. You know you're all equally grounded, right? The triplets groaned in unison. For how long? Jaden asked. Sarah answered from the driver's seat. Until you're 30 sounds about right. Marcus wailed. 30. I'll be old. I'll have grey hair. The house looked exactly the same as when Daniel left, which was somehow both comforting and strange. Same Christmas lights on the porch that he had put up last year. Same wreath on the door that Sarah bought at the craft fair. Same crooked mailbox that they kept meaning to fix. But now everything looked different because he was seeing it as a free man, an innocent man, a man coming home to his family after the worst 6 months of his life. Auntie Grace was waiting at the door, fully awake for once and dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. Daniel, my favorite nephew, you're home. She pulled him into a hug that was surprisingly strong for a 73-year-old. I knew you were innocent. I always knew. I told everyone at my bridge club that you were innocent, and they didn't believe me. But now who looks stupid, Margaret? Daniel hugged her back. Thanks for believing in me, Auntie. She patted his cheek. Of course I believed in you. You're terrible at lying. Remember when you were 12 and tried to convince me you hadn't eaten the cookies? You turned red and started sweating immediately. The triplets pushed past the adults into the house, eager to show Daniel everything that had changed while he was gone. Look, Dad, we got a new couch. The old one was worn out. And there's a crack in the ceiling now. I think the house is falling apart. I organized the bookshelf by subject, and alphabetically it was a lot of work. Daniel followed them through the familiar rooms, touching furniture and door frames like he needed to confirm they were real. He stopped in the kitchen and stared at the refrigerator, which was covered in drawings and report cards and photos just like before. But there were new additions. Newspaper clippings about wrongful convictions, printouts about appeals processes, and a handwritten sign that said, Dad is innocent, in 3 different colors of marker. You kept this up the whole time? Daniel asked, his voice rough. Sarah wrapped her arms around him from behind. The kids made it the first week. They wanted everyone who came into our house to know the truth. That night, they ordered pizza because no one had energy to cook, and they ate it together in the living room while watching the most ridiculous Christmas movie the kids could find. This movie makes no sense, Jaden complained. Why would Santa need a lawyer? He's Santa. He's above the law. Zara responded, actually, international airspace regulations would definitely apply to flying sleigh, and the customs implications of his gift distribution are significant. Marcus wasn't paying attention to the movie at all. He was just staring at his father like he might disappear. Dad, are you really staying? You're not going to go back to prison. Daniel pulled Marcus close. I'm really staying, buddy. I'm never going back there. The truth came out, and I'm free. Marcus started crying again, which everyone ignored because he had been crying on and off all day. I was so scared. I missed you so much. I had to learn to tie my tie from a YouTube video, and it wasn't the same. Daniel hugged him tighter. I'll teach you properly. I'll teach you everything. We have all the time in the world now. Jaden climbed onto the couch on Daniel's other side. Dad, do you forgive us for trying to break you out? I know it was against the law and we could have gotten in serious trouble, but we just wanted you home. Daniel ruffled his hair. I forgive you, but I also need you to understand that what you did was dangerous. There could have been serious consequences. You could have been hurt. Zara interrupted from her spot on the floor. According to my risk assessment, the chances of physical harm were only 12%. We took appropriate precautions. Daniel sighed. That's actually not as reassuring as you think it is. Sarah settled beside them with her own slice of pizza. New family rule, no more prison breaks, no more elaborate escape plans, and definitely no more using hamsters as mission mascots. Gerald squeaked from his cage, clearly offended. Marcus defended him. Gerald was essential to team morale. We couldn't have done it without him. Jaden corrected, we didn't actually do anything. Our plan failed. Dad got released through legal channels. Zara nodded. Our success rate was technically 0%, which is statistically humiliating. Daniel laughed so hard he almost choked on his pizza. 0% success rate, that's my kids, planning elaborate heists and achieving nothing. He pulled all three of them into a hug. But you tried. You believed in me when no one else did. You came up with a crazy plan because you loved me. And even though it didn't work, it's the most amazing thing anyone has ever done for me. Later, after the triplets were in bed and the house was quiet, Daniel and Sarah sat on the porch looking at the Christmas lights and the softly falling snow. 2 days until Christmas, Sarah said. We don't have a tree, we don't have presents, we don't have anything planned because I didn't dare hope. Daniel took her hand. We have each other, we have our kids, we have the truth, everything else is just details. Sarah leaned her head on his shoulder. Those kids are something else, you know that? Planning a prison break with blueprints and code names and a hamster mascot. Where did they even get that kind of determination? Daniel smiled. From their mother, who spent 6 months fighting for my freedom while working 3 jobs and keeping our family together, they inherited your strength. Sarah shook her head. They inherited your stubbornness and my bad ideas. That's a dangerous combination. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the snow accumulate on the lawn. Then Daniel said quietly, I missed this so much. Just sitting here, being home, knowing you and the kids were inside. I used to close my eyes in my cell and try to remember exactly how this felt. Sarah squeezed his hand. You never have to remember again. You're home, Daniel. Really, truly home. Upstairs, the triplets were definitely not sleeping. Dad's really staying, right? Marcus whispered from his bunk. Like forever, Jaden whispered back. Forever, the lawyer said all charges were dropped. He's innocent. He's free. Zara added from her bed across the room. However, we should remain vigilant. Wrongful convictions do occasionally face challenges. Even after exoneration, I'll be monitoring the legal situation closely. Marcus groaned. Can we just be happy for 5 minutes without you bringing up statistics? Jaden grinned in the darkness. We did it, though. We actually did it. Okay, technically the lawyers did it. But we tried, and that counts for something. Marcus agreed. We're basically heroes, failed heroes, but still heroes. Zara considered this. I would characterize us more as well-intentioned criminals who got lucky. But I understand the appeal of the hero narrative. Gerald ran on his wheel, adding his squeaky commentary. Good night, Marcus, Jaden said. Good night, Jaden, Marcus replied. Good night, Zara, they both said. Good night, brothers. And good night, Gerald, Zara concluded. And for the first time in 6 months, all 5 Thompsons slept under the same roof, safe and together and finally free. Christmas Eve morning arrived with chaos and joy in equal measure. The triplets woke up at 5 a.m. and immediately ran to their parents' bedroom to confirm that Dad was still there and the whole thing hadn't been a dream. "He's still here," Marcus shouted, jumping on the bed. "Dad is still here." Daniel groaned and pulled a pillow over his head. "I'm here. I'm definitely here. Please stop jumping on my kidneys." Jaden joined the jumping. "We have to get a tree. We don't have a tree. Christmas is tomorrow and we don't have a tree." Zara stood in the doorway with her tablet. "According to my research, most tree lots close by noon on Christmas Eve. We have approximately 6 hours to acquire and decorate a tree if we want to maintain holiday traditions." Sarah sat up with her hair sticking in 17 different directions. "Okay, everyone calm down. We're going to have Christmas. We're going to get a tree. But first, coffee. Mommy needs coffee." Daniel emerged from under his pillow with a grin. "I'll make it. I've missed making coffee in my own kitchen for 6 months." He headed downstairs with 3 excited children trailing behind him like ducklings, all of them talking at once about ornaments and presents and whether Santa would know to bring extra gifts since Dad was home. The tree lot was nearly empty by the time they arrived, picked over by families who had planned their Christmas properly instead of spending the previous day attempting prison breaks. "There's nothing left," Marcus wailed, looking at the sad collection of lopsided trees. "Christmas is ruined." Jaden was more optimistic. "That one's not too bad. It only leans a little." Zara examined the remaining options with scientific detachment. "This Douglas fir has lost approximately 40% of its needles. This noble fir has a significant bald spot on one side, and this, I'm not entirely sure what species this is, but it appears to be dying." Daniel walked past all of them to a small, scraggly tree in the corner that everyone else had clearly rejected. "This one," he announced. "This is our tree." The triplets stared at him. "Dad, that tree is pathetic," Jaden said. "It's barely taller than Marcus." Marcus protested. "Hey, I'm not that short." Daniel crouched down to their level. "This tree is small and overlooked, and everyone thinks it's not good enough, but it just needs a chance to shine, kind of like how everyone thought I wasn't good enough, but you 3 believed in me anyway." The triplets exchanged glances, and then Marcus hugged the sad little tree. "I love this tree. It's the best tree. We're taking it home." Decorating the tree turned into a whole family production. Sarah dug out boxes of ornaments from the attic while Daniel untangled Christmas lights that had been stored in a way that defied the laws of physics. "How did these get so knotted?" Daniel muttered, pulling at a hopeless tangle. "I stored them neatly. I specifically remember storing them neatly." Jaden tried to help and made it worse. Marcus got distracted by an ornament he had made in kindergarten, a lumpy clay reindeer with googly eyes. "Look, Dad, you missed this. I made it when you were gone." His voice wobbled. "I mean, when you couldn't." Daniel stopped fighting with the lights and pulled Marcus into a hug. "I missed a lot of things, buddy, but I'm not going to miss anything else, I promise." Zara appeared with a spreadsheet. "I've catalogued all the ornaments by year, type, and sentimental value. We should start with the high-value items and work our way down." Sarah laughed. "Or we could just put them on randomly like normal families." Zara looked genuinely confused. "But that's so inefficient." By afternoon, the sad little tree had been transformed into something magical. It was still small and lopsided, but it was covered in lights and ornaments and love. Paper snowflakes that the triplets had made years ago hung beside fancy glass balls that had belonged to Sarah's grandmother. A star that was slightly too big sat crookedly on top, held in place by Jaden, who had climbed a step stool to put it there. "It's perfect," Marcus declared, "the most perfect tree in the whole world." Gerald squeaked from his cage in apparent agreement. "Now we need presents," Jaden announced. "We can't have Christmas without presents." Sarah's face fell slightly. "About that, I didn't really have time to shop this year, with everything going on." Daniel interrupted. "I have an idea. Everyone gather round." The family assembled in a circle on the living room floor. "We're going to make presents for each other, not buy them, make them. We have until tomorrow morning, and we can use anything in the house." The next few hours were filled with secret crafting, slammed doors, whispered consultations, and occasional crashes that everyone pretended not to hear. Marcus hogged the bathroom for an hour, doing something that involved a lot of glitter. Jaden took over the kitchen table with paper and markers. Zara typed furiously on her tablet, creating something digital. Sarah disappeared into the bedroom with fabric and a sewing kit. And Daniel sat in the corner with a notebook, writing furiously. Christmas Eve dinner was hot dogs and macaroni because no one had gone grocery shopping and honestly, no one cared. "This is the best hot dog I've ever eaten," Daniel said, and everyone knew he meant it. Prison food was terrible. They served something they called meatloaf, but I'm pretty sure it was mostly cardboard. Marcus looked horrified. "You had to eat cardboard for 6 months." Daniel nodded solemnly. Cardboard meatloaf, mystery vegetables, and bread that could double as a weapon. Jaden's eyes went wide. "Was it like those prison movies where people fight in the cafeteria?" Sarah interrupted. "Let's maybe not discuss prison violence with the 9-year-olds. That night, after the triplets were supposedly in bed, Daniel and Sarah sat by the glowing Christmas tree and held hands. "I never thought I'd be here again," Daniel said quietly. "There were days in that place when I thought I would never see any of you again, when I thought I would die in there for something I didn't do." Sarah leaned into him. "But you didn't, and you're here, and tomorrow is Christmas." Daniel kissed her forehead. "The kids are going to be up at dawn. We should sleep." Sarah shook her head. "I don't want to sleep. I want to sit here with you and look at our tree and just be together." Upstairs, the triplets were definitely not sleeping. "Do you think Dad liked our plan even though it failed?" Marcus whispered. "Like, was he impressed by the blueprints and the code names?" Jaden whispered back. "He said he was impressed, but he also said we were grounded until 30. Zara contributed. "Grounding typically lasts 2 to 4 weeks for infractions of this magnitude. Until 30 is clearly hyperbole intended for comedic effect." Marcus giggled. "Mum doesn't do hyperbole, she's serious." Gerald ran on his wheel, the familiar squeak somehow comforting in the darkness. Christmas morning exploded into existence at 5:47 a.m., which was apparently the exact time the triplets' internal clocks registered as Christmas now. They thundered down the stairs, making enough noise to wake the entire neighborhood, screaming, "Santa came!" Even though they were technically too old to believe in Santa, and everyone knew it. Daniel was already awake, sitting by the tree with a cup of coffee and a smile that threatened to crack his face in half. "Merry Christmas, troublemakers." The presents were small and handmade and absolutely perfect. Marcus had created coupons for each family member, offering things like 1 free hug, "I will clean my room without complaining," and most touchingly, "I will not cry for a whole day. I will try." Jaden had drawn portraits of everyone, surprisingly skilled for a 9-year-old, with Dad's portrait showing him breaking out of jail like an action hero with "My dad is innocent" written in bold letters. Zara had compiled a digital photo album of the past 6 months, every moment documented so Dad wouldn't feel like he had missed anything, complete with statistical analyses of times Marcus cried, 847, and times Jaden got in trouble at school, 23. Sarah's gift to Daniel was a quilt she had been secretly working on for months, made from squares of fabric that each represented a memory. Their wedding, the triplets' birth, family vacations, ordinary days that had seemed unremarkable at the time but were actually precious beyond measure. Daniel touched each square with trembling fingers. "You made this while I was gone? While you were working 3 jobs and fighting for my freedom?" Sarah shrugged. "I needed something to do with my hands during the nights I couldn't sleep." Daniel's gift to everyone was letters. Individual letters to each child and his wife, pages and pages of everything he had wanted to say during those 6 months of separation. Jaden's letter praised his leadership and bravery. Marcus's letter acknowledged his sensitivity as a strength, not a weakness. Zara's letter celebrated her brilliant mind and promised to always take her statistics seriously. And Sarah's letter was private, passed to her with a look that made the triplets make gagging noises and pretend to be disgusted. "Best Christmas ever," Marcus declared, surrounded by homemade presents and discarded wrapping paper. "Way better than last year when we had regular presents," Jaden agreed. "Who needs video games when you have freedom?" Zara added. Plus, the story of our failed prison break will make excellent material for my future memoir. Daniel laughed. Please wait until I'm dead to publish that memoir. I don't need the publicity. Auntie Grace arrived for Christmas breakfast with a ham she had somehow managed to cook, despite being 73 and usually asleep. I made it myself, she announced proudly. The kitchen only caught fire twice. Everyone exchanged worried glances, but ate the ham anyway because it was Christmas, and they were all together, and nothing else mattered. After breakfast, the triplets dragged their father outside to build a snowman. You missed snow last year, Marcus reminded him. Prison doesn't have good snow, Jaden corrected. Prison doesn't have any snow, at least not that you can play in. Zara contributed, actually correctional facilities in colder climates do experience snowfall, but recreational snow activities are typically not permitted. Daniel threw a snowball at her head. Less statistics, more snowman. The snowman they built was lopsided and strange, with stick arms that pointed in different directions and a carrot nose that kept falling off. Marcus insisted on giving it a scarf. Jaden added rocks for buttons. Zara calculated the optimal placement for each element and was overruled by her brothers, who just threw things at it randomly. It's perfect, Daniel declared, the most perfect snowman ever built by the most perfect family ever assembled. The triplets groaned at his cheesiness but hugged him anyway. That evening, as the sun set on the best Christmas any of them had ever experienced, the Thompson family gathered in the living room around their small crooked tree with its two big star and mismatched ornaments. Gerald had been given a special Christmas treat and was sleeping contentedly in his cage. Hot chocolate was distributed, Christmas songs played softly in the background, and Daniel looked around at his wife and children and felt something he had almost forgotten during those 6 dark months. Pure, uncomplicated happiness. I want to make a toast, Daniel announced, raising his mug of hot chocolate. To my family, who never gave up on me, who believed in my innocence when no one else did, who planned an elaborate prison break with blueprints and code names and a hamster mascot. The triplets giggled. And who taught me that love is stronger than any prison, any lie, any obstacle the world can throw at us. He looked at each of them in turn. To Jaden, my fearless leader, to Marcus, my sensitive soul, to Zara, my brilliant analyst, to Sarah, my rock and my heart, and to Gerald, the bravest hamster in the world. To Gerald, the triplets shouted, raising their mugs. Sarah added her own toast. To second chances and to never taking a single moment for granted. Jaden raised his mug highest. To family, the kind that breaks you out of prison. Marcus was crying again, happy tears this time. To being together, forever and ever and ever. Zara concluded with characteristic precision, to a statistically improbable outcome that nonetheless resulted in optimal conditions for familial happiness and holiday celebration. Everyone stared at her. What she said, Daniel laughed, and they all clinked their mugs together. Outside, snow fell gently on a house full of love and laughter and the warmth of a family reunited. The small crooked tree glowered in the window, the lopsided snowman stood guard in the yard. And somewhere in that cozy living room, a hamster named Gerald dreamed of his next big adventure. The end. Thank you for reading. This was the story of 3 brave, crazy, wonderful kids who loved their father so much they were willing to break every rule to bring him home. They learned that sometimes the best plans fail, but love never does. Remember, family isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up for each other no matter what. Even if showing up involves blueprints, fake cookies, and a hamster named Gerald. We're basically heroes, failed heroes, but still heroes. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.